Board. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 53 of the In From Japan podcast, the podcast where we talk about the latest news on Japan-developed games and other things in relation to them, available on YouTube and in most places podcasts can be found. As always, I'm your host, Erroll Moss, and with me is the phenomenon from Suriname, Jason Corder.
Hey.
And we are going to start like we usually do with we're going to start like we usually do with the Japanese games we've been playing. So I'll go first. So I bought the Castlevania Anniversary Collection for about like $5 on Switch. And I haven't played any Castlevania games, but I have played a little bit of Kid Dracula, which is one of those weird, one of those weird old Japanese platformers. Yeah. Like, kind of reminds me of that game. If you have you ever heard of the game Monster? I think it's called Monster Party.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's not that weird, but it just kind of reminds me of that a little bit. Because, like, so you play as Kid Dracula, jumping around and throwing fireballs, and they're, like, the typical, like, haunted house level enemies, like zombies and mummies and ghosts and witches and knights, which I assume are supposed to be, like, the statues and stuff. But then there are, like, these little flying gamma monsters in, like, the second level.
Like, is that a weird homage to Gamora or Gamera? Or
Gamera?
Is it?
Gamora is an Ultraman monster.
Okay. I'm glad we cleared that up.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there are other games that have enemies that look like that. There's also it also kind of looks like the if you've ever read Dr. Slump, the Akira Toriyama manga, there was like a Gamera thing in that too, and it looks kind of like that drawing of Gamera.
It's probably just a homage.
Yeah, I'm sure. But anyways, yeah, so it's I think it was originally for the Nintendo Entertainment System, or I guess the Famicom rather, because I think this might be its first localized release. But
I'm not so sure about that. Let me check.
I said that on the game, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, let's see. The game saw ports for the PS4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, Microsoft Windows as part of the Anniversary Collection, which was...
Yep.
Yeah, it was on the Famicom too. Okay. Huh.
Yeah, so you throw fireballs at enemies. You can throw them left, right, or up, and up is good for like the things that are above you, like the bats or like any kind of enemies that drop things on you. And the jump isn't great, but this is a Nintendo, like an old Nintendo game, so it feels like the jump is a little stiff. It feels like, I don't know how to. You know how in like some of the older Mario games you have a little bit more of like control over your jump?
Kind of a floatiness.
Yeah, there's a little less of that, so it makes it a little harder to navigate certain parts.
Like
I'm only on the second level, but I have mastered. I pretty much have mastered the first level, which ends with you fight a little baby ghost boss, and then its mom comes, and then you have to or dad or parent. It's parent ghost. Comes to fight you and throw fireballs at you or spit fireballs at you. The second level is kind of weird because so you jump up some moving platforms, and that's all well and good. It's pretty normal. But then you go on this moving platform that goes super fast, which is when you see some of the start to see some of the little Gamera monsters. And you can just get rid of them with your fireball. But at one point there's like a decline, like a not a hill, but yeah, I guess it's like a decline. And if you don't jump at the right time, there are two Gamera monsters on like each. There's a Gamera monster on each side of where the platform is going, and if you don't jump in time, you get stuck between the Gamera monsters, and the platform moves on without you, and you fall and you die.
Well, it is after all a Famicom game, so pretty unforgiving as most of them are.
I do like it.
Okay. Well,
it's just I gotta figure out how to, like, I just gotta get more used to how it controls a little bit, especially with that jump. Then I have been playing a little bit of Super Mario Sunshine, which, again, I only did the first part and the first world, is it? Because there's like the hub world, Delfino Plaza, and then there's the little things you go into. I did the first, I forgot what the level was called, but whatever that level was. And I understand the controls are, like, I understand what people say when the controls are a bit not great, but this is going to be blasphemy, but I think I like it better than Super Mario 64 so far. I have tried 64 on, like, 3 separate occasions, and I have never been able to, like, I've gotten relatively far, and then I've never fully, like, it's never fully clicked with me that it's like, I'm just like, why? This is not that great.
Okay, when was the first time you played Super Mario 64?
When it came out on the Wii Virtual Console.
I think that's the reason, because by that point you've experienced, like, several evolutionary steps within the 3D platforming scape. So I think...
Well, no. I hadn't... Well, the only 3D platformer I had played before that I remember is... or the only... are a couple PlayStation ones, like Spyro Year of the Dragon... and a bit of Jak and Daxter, and probably some other random ones I'm forgetting.
But okay, just to make it a bit broader, not platformers per se, but you're more familiar with 3D environments and worlds and how physics affect a character within that world.
Yeah, and I guess Super Mario 64 was kind of a little earlier than those other games. Huh?
It's more or less the popular definition of the start of the 3D era.
Yeah.
Well, 3D as in.
But
3D
I think I'm gonna. I'll probably stick with Sunshine a little bit. It again, GameCube games, even though they don't look amazing or anything, they still look pretty good to me. I'm not that picky with, like, when it comes to graphics most of the time.
Well, who said that it doesn't look good?
Oh, some people are like, well, they didn't. Well, I can understand they didn't really do that much to improve the look of it. You know what I mean?
They didn't revamp the art style or the graphics for.
But, like, it's like, you can tell it's an old game just because of how it looks. But it also does, like, it could look a lot worse. It could have aged worse.
Yeah, the art direction was pretty solid back then, and it's held up fairly well until now.
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna play it a little bit more, at least until the new games start coming out.
Have you played Mario Galaxy then?
Not yet.
Never?
No, the only 3D Mario game I've really played was Odyssey, and that was the first one I really liked. So that's why I decided to give this collection a chance.
Your history with games is so unique.
Yeah, I was not that I'm that good at games now, but back when I was a kid, I barely got to ever finish any video games besides Pokemon. It was like the games I beat as a kid were Pokemon, Yoshi's Island, and almost Spyro Year of the Dragon. The only reason I did not beat Spyro Year of the Dragon, and maybe I've told this story on the podcast before, but it was because my dad read something in the paper or he read something somewhere where he's like, I learned how to give your memory card more space, and I don't know where he read this false information, but he formatted my memory card, which deleted my Spyro the Year of the Dragon save file.
Well,
and then since
go on.
Ever since then, I did not trust friends to play any single player games for a while.
Okay.
Because I was afraid that somebody would accidentally delete my save.
In fairness, formatting your memory card does leave you with a lot more space than you started. So
Yes. Okay. Yes, but I don't think he realized that it would have deleted.
Yeah.
Especially because he would always complain about me, like, "Oh, you never beat these games," and I'm like, and then after he did that, I was like, "Well, I would have. Well, maybe it's because of you deleted my save file."
I'm traumatized, Dad.
But yeah,
it's very
of course now
interesting.
that's not a problem with the cloud and everything.
Yeah, but it's still interesting that your history with games is so different than most of us. Like, a lot of us have the huge touchstones, like the culture touchstones, but you kind of approached it in a inverse way.
I still have like some I have. Maybe that's just with like 3D platformers, and it's with certain genres. Because like I still played Yoshi's Island and Super Mario World, and I like of the 2D Mario games, I played most of those on like Game Boy Advance.
Okay. Well, I played them on the OG console, so that has to give you some indication of how old I am.
Yeah, so there are just some differences. Wait until I tell you about all the weird random games I had for the PS1, and then that'll be a bonus episode someday.
Sure. Can't wait.
But what have you been playing?
Well, I was absent last week. For those of you who didn't know, I got my wisdom teeth removed, the first set, so I was MIA. So while I was away, I played Nier Automata. I finished the A ending. So now I'm playing with. Okay, I'm gonna spoil a game that's a few years old now. So you've been warned. You play with a different character, 9S, and it's not all that different. It just fills a lot of gaps from the first playthrough. And from what I've read and what I've seen in YouTube videos, the game doesn't fully open up until the third playthrough, really. So,
I still need to actually play that game fully. I only ever got did the first ending, and then something else came out, and I was like, yeah.
It's a very interesting look at humanity and what it means to be human.
Yeah, I've watched a little bit of the senpai and the homie Michael Higham, friend of the show. He's been streaming a little bit of Nier Replicant every so often. So I've been or not Nier Replicant,
like the first Nier.
Nier. Yeah, the PS3 one.
Yeah, it's the first Nier.
Whichever. It's just Nier, isn't it? Here.
For the US, it is
Nier Weiss or whatever.
I'll look it up real quick for you. It's just called Nier, and Replicant was the Japan version.
Yeah. So I was watching him do a little bit of that, and that looks like a pretty fun game actually. So I'm like, I need to give Nier Automata another chance. I need to get this game.
I'd say play Automata only if you want to know the really obscure lore stuff that you could.
Well, Automata is also just a really good game.
Yeah, it is a good game. It's super polished. It's developed by Platinum Games, so the combat is really good. But it's not to say that Nier has terrible combat. It just has maybe less of a polished combat. But just wait on the updated version of Replicant that is supposed to come out in April of this year. So wait until that. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, I probably will. I mean, I wanted to play it on Game Pass, but you all know what happened with my Xbox, so
is it still
not
acting funky for you?
It doesn't work. Doesn't.
Wow.
Only plays small indie games and smaller titles. Nier Automata crashed. What's it called? Maneater. I got Maneater just in case the problem was with Yakuza 7 specifically, because Maneater was on sale a while back. Maneater didn't work either.
Wow.
Maneater crashed. Yakuza 7 crashed. Again, the only things that don't crash are smaller indie titles and Power Rangers Battle for the Grid.
Oh, wow. Are you going to consider sending it back for repairs?
Yeah. I just need to do that.
Okay.
You know, we're still in this whole pandemic, and it's just like I don't trust people.
Well,
but
you'll be fine with Microsoft, I think. Move.
But no, not that. Just like going to send it.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I've also been playing Grandia HD, remastered for Switch. Really enjoyed the combat. Really enjoyed the atmosphere, because it kind of gives me the vibe of Nausicaa. That movie.
I still need to watch that.
That movie Hayao Miyazaki did. It's very ornate in its design, like its art design, and it's something you don't see quite often in games these days. And the music is also wonderfully done. It has this 70s era orchestral feel, cinematic orchestral feel. Like it makes you think of John Williams and some of the grander musical scores from back then. And it's very warm, very 90s anime, and it's really, really good. The only thing I'd knock against the game is the very, very slow pacing. Like, it takes a really long time before it picks up, and I would not blame you if you did not get past the opening segment of the game, because it really only opens up about 2 hours after the game starts, and then it slows down back to a crawl, and then you have to play until 3 or 4 hours until you get to really fight again. And it's like, why? Another thing I also got annoyed by was that it has character exclusive inventories. Like, say you pick up an item and it goes to one character, that means another character can't use it unless you switch it over to the other character's inventory. So you don't have you don't have a shared inventory. So say you need a potion or like an antidote, you can't use it. You have to go to the character specific inventory, which is a bummer. And you still see it these days with games like Dragon Quest. It's a lot less egregious now, but back then, not fun. And the inventory size is also so small that you can't. If you didn't properly prepare,
it's one of those things.
And then you go into a dungeon and then you find good loot, it just disappears. It doesn't go into like some games have like a surplus inventory slot where all your other items are stored, and once you clear up enough space, that moves into your main inventory. It doesn't have that. If you find an item and you don't have inventory space, it just disappears.
Yeah.
And it really sucks when you find a good weapon or an armor piece, and but I still like it. I think I'm gonna stick with it. I fell off of Star Ocean because the grind just turned me off. Like, I'm 10 levels above the recommended level in the walkthrough, and I'm still having a tough time. And I don't.
I'm having a similar problem with not a Japanese game, but it is a game we talked about a little bit last week with Monster Sanctuary. Because there was a what are they called? Like a monster keeper that was a mandatory fight, and I mean, I haven't battled him again yet because I got access to a couple more areas. So I was like grinding a bit there, and some of the battles over there were still hard. Like stuff is getting better, and I'm gonna get all my monsters to level 20 before I go try to fight that one guy again. His monsters are all level 14, but it might just be my team. I'm not sure yet, but we'll see. Now that I have like a better understanding of everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can understand what that feels like when it's like you get them like to like a couple levels above, and it still doesn't feel like it's still not
working. What's worse is that the kind of late game area that I'm in Star Ocean. It starts off with a fairly easy section, and then you teleport to another place, and then it just jumps 20 levels above your current recommended level. And I'm just like, okay, how was this supposed to be fun? Did you want to just pad out the experience? Did you not care about my enjoyment? Did you just give up? What happened?
Why you do this?
Why you do this? And I also kind of fell off of Tokyo Mirage sessions because I find that game way too easy.
It's the other.
Yeah, it's way.
It's like I might love it then. I mean, I already have it, but
it's.
I think I might love it.
But it's just so shallow and so easy. And I'm like, no. I have Nier Automata.
Our friend Cam might have some choice words for you next
Yeah,
time
I saw it on his best games list, and I looked at it like, maybe play some other RPGs, cause this ain't it, fam. Well, but to each their own. If he genuinely likes it, I'm not gonna knock him for it.
I've been thinking about playing Dragon Quest XI S or not again, but like, because I did start it, and I'm like, I'm gonna get too sucked into it, and I need to play other games before I go back to the Dragon Quest hole.
I too had that nudge to go back to Dragon Quest, but I also have so much to play, and
it's like that plus Monster Sanctuary makes me want to do like a Pokemon Nuzlocke with one of the Game Boy Advance games, maybe. And I'm like, no, stop.
I'll just wait till the announcement of the possible remakes, then you can go all in.
Diamond and Pearl remakes?
Yeah.
I like 4th Gen. I know a lot of people don't like 4th Gen. I love 4th Gen. Well, I love 2nd Gen is my favorite. 4th Gen might be like my 2nd or 3rd favorite, but I think I dislike 5th Gen a lot more than 4th Gen, weirdly enough.
I mean, we all have our different entry points, so it'll differ for everyone.
It's funny because now that I have like a couple friends who are like 4 or 5 years younger than me, and they're like, "Oh, Diamond and Pearl, yeah, that was the best. Yeah, that was so good." And I'm like, "What?" And like they're like, "Oh, well, it was the first one I played," and I'm like, "Oh God." There goes my back.
It's kind of the thing with Doctor Who. Your favorite Doctor is always your first. So it kind of applies to.
Well, no.
Okay, who's your favorite Doctor?
Gen 1 was my first. No. I'm talking Pokemon wise.
Okay.
Gen 1 was my first. Gen 2 was my favorite.
Well, it's more of a rule of thumb. It's not a hard rule, so we can deviate.
Although I also played the crap out of Gen 3, so
I played actively until Ruby and Sapphire, and those are where most of my memories are stored. Like everything after Ruby and Sapphire, I have a tough time identifying. Yeah.
Okay. So moving on, because we're getting kind of off topic. Moving on to the In From Japan J-List, where we have recent video game related entertainment news. We got some tokusatsu news and some movie news, so I'm excited. Are you excited?
Not so much. Like, I'm not the biggest tokusatsu fan, but go ahead.
No, I meant for the other stuff. But so the Subaraya files new trademark for Ultraman Trigger. The next Ultra has finally been confirmed. Subaraya Productions has filed a trademark for the next Ultraman project, which will apparently be known as Ultraman Trigger. They're thinking... So, interesting fun fact. They're doing a thing right now, which is highlighting the adventures of Ultraman Z, the most recent Ultraman, and Ultraman Tiga, who was from a while back, like the late 90s, early 2000s. Or no, I think 1998 in Japan. But we got a 4Kids adaptation of that back in the day. That was the first time I ever saw Ultraman. So they're thinking Ultraman Trigger may be connected to Ultraman Tiga in some way. They haven't revealed yet. Next story on the J list is Sonic movie streaming will begin on Hulu in February. This is by Jenny Lotta for Siliconera. People who didn't catch the Sonic the Hedgehog film yet, like me, will have a new option in February 2021. The Sonic movie will be streaming on Hulu on February 18, 2021.
Wait, you still haven't seen it?
Nope.
Huh. Any reason why not?
I just haven't.
Okay.
I haven't felt the need to like rent it or anything, and I'm glad I waited. I have a friend of mine who's seen Sonic, but hasn't seen Detective Pikachu yet. So I think we might just do a movie night with both.
Wow.
And then moving on, next story: Monster Hunter DVD and Blu-rays will arrive in March. This is once again by Jenny Lotta for Siliconera. Physical copies of the Monster Hunter movie have a tentative release date. The Amazon product listings for the DVD, Blu-ray, and 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray are live and suggest it will show up on March 2nd, 2021. It will be $19.99 for the DVD, $22.99 for the Blu-ray, and $29.99 for the Here's the interesting thing. There's no streaming option to watch the movie online. In the event someone is social distancing, though Amazon does have a listing for the digital copy online. I had no idea it wasn't streaming anywhere.
Well, not every movie that was supposed to come out last year made its way to a streaming service.
No, I know, but I just thought like you'd be able to rent it at least somewhere.
Well, I don't know. It's probably because it's a video game tie-in, and they want to make as much money as possible off of it, and that's why they're kind of avoiding renting or streaming.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Next story: Godzilla vs. Kong trailer Sunday. Well, that'll be the day before this episode is out, so it'll be out by the time this is. But yes, they released a new poster for Godzilla vs. Kong, and we're finally getting a trailer. And they recently moved the release date up to March 26th.
Fingers crossed.
I am excited. The original King Kong vs. Godzilla. I almost said Digimon for some reason. I don't. The original King Kong vs. Godzilla actually partially helped inspire early concepts for Pokemon. So there's your little fun fact. I've probably said that before.
Yeah.
And speaking of giant monsters, two Gamera special edition Blu-rays, one for the Showa era movies and one for the Heisei era movies. And if you get both, they make one picture. Come out on the 25th. They're $72.99 each.
That's neat.
I already have a Heisei trilogy. I was eyeing this Showa era collection, but that's a lot of money. And I prefer not to buy movies unless I've already seen them. You know what I mean?
No, not really.
Really?
Yeah. If
like buy physical copies.
Yeah. I mean,
because I don't want to like purchase a movie and then end up not liking it.
Well,
unless it's like a rentals are different, but like I mean like an actual physical thing.
If a movie is reviewed well, I'm more often than not going to like it. So I have no qualms of buying it then.
Yeah, I'm not like that. Like, I just recently watched Promare finally because it's on HBO Max, and now I'm like, okay, now I can get it because I actually enjoyed it.
Okay.
I was pretty sure I would. I just, it was just in case. And the last thing on the J list is Kamen Rider Ryuki Episode 1, available on Toei Tokusatsu World YouTube channel. Toei continues its... This is by somebody named Paladin for Toku Nation. Toei continues its 50th anniversary celebration for Kamen Rider by adding another series to Tokusatsu World YouTube channel. This week, 2002's Kamen Rider Ryuki joins the lineup, available for streaming worldwide with official English subtitles. Kamen Rider Ryuki is the source material for the American adaptation of the show Kamen Rider Dragon Knight, which is my first exposure to Kamen Rider. And also, I believe it won a Daytime Emmy for Best Stunt Coordination.
Well, there's that.
Also, fun fact, this Kamen Rider Ryuki, the opening is sung by Rika Matsumoto, who is Ash Ketchum's Japanese voice actor.
Not that uncommon for Japanese products.
No, not that uncommon at all. It's just like, if you've listened to Japanese Pokemon openings, you'll listen to like the Kamen Rider Ryuki opening and be like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Which is actually really funny, given that in Kamen Rider Ryuki, the Kamen Riders essentially have partner monsters. So everything comes full circle. It's like a lot of people, I've seen people describe the Kamen Rider Ryuki as like Digimon mixed with Yu-Gi-Oh! Mixed with Kamen Rider, because they have the partner monsters and they have these card decks called Advent decks, which are basically cards they use for as different power-ups.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very of the time, 2002.
Yeah.
But great. All right, so next I'm going to list out the recommended content. Content other than news from the past week listed out, links in the description. We have video games proven to have positive effects on depression. Studies do not prove, studies suggest. I don't like when people use prove. By Stephanie Miner.
Depending on
for
the
Gamer.
context, it doesn't have to be wrong.
That's true.
So whenever you see a headline that's too good to be true, always read the context, kids.
Next we have the best things about Persona 5 Strikers: music, menus, Makoto, and more by Michael Higham for GameSpot. Someone please make a good Hunter x Hunter game. Thanks, by Cian Maher. He said on Twitter he was saying how to pronounce his name in a recent tweet. So now we know. It's
Okay.
Cian Maher
Cian.
for the gamer. Forget Sinnoh or Johto. It's time to remake Pokemon Colosseum by Bella Blondeau for the gamer.
Hot takes from the
And
gamer.
she's right.
Hot takes.
She's right.
Hot takes.
But she's right. Team Ninja interview with Fumihiko Yasuda on Nioh, Ninja Gaiden, Spicy Food, Sexy Yokai, and much more by Dave Aubrey for the gamer. Interview: Nioh 2 producer talks weapons and historical figures by Kazuma Hashimoto for Siliconera. How might Final Fantasy 11 and 14 exist in harmony by Benjamin Maltbie for Siliconera. MiHoYo talks about building Genshin Impact's Dragon Spine by Jenny Lana for Siliconera. And I also wanted to shout out today's the January 22nd's Kind of Funny Games Daily that featured Natalie Flores, who currently writes for Fanbyte, but she's been at a bunch of different sites. Go support her on various things and watch that episode. Good talk about Resident Evil stuff.
All right. Okay.
Now it's time for the news rundown, and I'll let the bearer of bad news, our Shinigami, take it away right after I say one thing. I don't know. Did you listen to last week's episode? Did you have the chance to?
No, not yet. What did I miss?
I told you to. I said never make me do this again, because we had some really bad news, like pandemic related, and like everybody was like down for a couple minutes.
Well, I have no qualms about
So,
reading bad news, so here I am.
Yeah, you're better at it than I am somehow. I don't know why.
It's just well. Anyway, Bankai. Here we go. Final Fantasy 14 14-hour broadcast has been postponed. This is by Kazuma Hashimoto for Siliconera. The scheduled Final Fantasy 14 14-hour broadcast has been postponed. The official Lodestone website states that this is due to the state of emergency that has been declared in Japan. However, the upcoming live letter from the producer LXII. I'm bad with my Roman numerals, but I'm gonna look that up real quick. What is it? LXY 62.
I don't know
The
what
62nd. that is scheduled for February 6, 2021 will still take place. The date for Final Fantasy 14 14-hour broadcast will be announced at a later date. The Lodestone Post states that the broadcast has been delayed to prioritize the health of the staff and those involved with the broadcast. Originally, the Final Fantasy 14 14-hour broadcast was scheduled to coincide with the live letter presentation. Additionally, there had been plans to have an audience. This would have been strictly through invitation only, but that plan has now been cancelled. COVID is still a thing, guys. How about we cancel everything?
Unfortunately. I mean, the Olympics were canceled.
Well, the Olympic Committee...
Re-canceled?
Well, the
Quietly
Olympic
re-canceled.
Committee was like, well, not really. I think the thing is they don't want to outright say that it's canceled because so many people's livelihood depend on it, and
they sink a lot of money into that too.
Yeah, and Japan also wants to generate income from the Olympics, so they don't want to scare off potential visitors or investors. Okay, this is Final Fantasy 15's last month on Xbox Game Pass. This is by Jenny Lada for Siliconera. Last call for Final Fantasy 15 on Xbox Game Pass. People have until the end of January 2021 to play the game. Microsoft announced that the RPG will be removed from the service on February 1st, my birthday, 2021. This applies to both the Xbox and the Windows 10 PC version of the game. Shout out to Destructoid. Final Fantasy 15 was the first Xbox Game Pass Final Fantasy game to appear following Microsoft's confirmation that the series would be added to the service at XO19. It was added back in February 2020, which means it will have been available for exactly 1 year. It's a bummer because this is one of my favorite Final Fantasy games. If your likes align with my likes, you also might be very fond of this game. So,
Yeah, I have a question, and I don't know if you know, because I don't, even though I have PC Game Pass. So do you know if Game Pass works like PS Plus in the way that if you've downloaded the game while it was a Plus game, you still have the ability to download it, even if it's not a Game Pass game anymore?
You do have the ability to download it, I think. There's a specific...
I mean, I'm going to download it pretty soon anyway.
There's a specific FAQ that answers this question. But if I'm not mistaken, you don't have the ability to play it, so you'd have to buy it formally from the store. So you might have it in your library, but you can't access it.
Because like the way PS Plus did it is like once you have it in your library, it's in your library even when it doesn't.
Yeah, but that's
when it's not a PS Plus.
That's kind of different because you could compare it to Xbox Live, the gold offering. That would be a one-to-one comparison, but with this, it's if it's gone, you lose the ability to play it. It doesn't matter if you're still subscribed or not.
If I download it from Game Pass, I'll still be able to play it when it's not on Game Pass as long as I have it downloaded, right?
Nope.
No?
When it's removed from Game Pass, you also lose the ability to access it. That's why I said
that's unfortunate.
That's how Game Pass works. If the game is no longer on Game Pass, you are required to buy it formally via one of the stores to actually be able to play it again.
Well, the nice thing is the thing I wanted to play from it is episode Arden, and that is included. So and it's much shorter than the main game.
It's also regularly on sale, and you can either get it on Humble, on Steam.
Just about the PS Plus thing, I asked that because that PS Plus thing is the only way I was able to play Transformers Devastation.
Oh, you mean now that it's no longer
I could
listed?
be on the disc too, but yeah. So it's still it's on my PS5.
Yeah, it also varies from digital game to digital game because mostly when the game is no longer listed, as long as you've added it to your library, you can still access it. But
It's still there, yeah.
in some rare cases, when servers go offline or they remove it fully, like what they did with PT, you also lose access to the game. So that's something to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
Next up is...
All right, next story.
Yeah. Game plays down scalping groups claim it snagged 2,000 PS5s in one day. For those who don't know, Game is a European retailer of video games. This is by Tom Phillips for Eurogamer. An organized scalping group has claimed it scooped up more than 2,000 PlayStation 5 consoles from Game's restock today. The Twitter account belonging to the scalpers boasted it had over 2,000 checkouts successfully logged for today's Game restock on the PS5, and that it just keeps getting easier every time. The Twitter account is now set to private after receiving backlash from would-be customers left unable to buy PS5 before stock sold out. Quote, Game Digital needs to do something about this, one reply reads. Quote, too many who genuinely want one are being screwed out of it by this piece of scum. And goes on and goes on. Let's see, did Game reply? They have a statement. It is, to quote, PS5 continues to be in very high demand, and that demand far outweighs current supply, a Game spokesperson told Eurogamer. We have strong measures in place to help ensure that our one per customer statement is maintained to allow for as many individual customers to successfully purchase as possible. You want to click on the article if you want to have full details. But yeah, it's unfortunate. Online retailers really need to come up with like a ticketing system or a one console per IP address thing.
No scalpers allowed.
Yeah, but that's gonna be really difficult to monitor.
I know.
Okay.
I saw a thing. I saw a thing that was like, it was a fake thing on Twitter, but it was like kind of if only. It was like Joe Biden's like it was like Joe Biden signed executive order preventing scalpers from buying.
I wish.
or something.
Like
yeah.
one of the things they could do is like have an artificial limit to
President Biden. I'm sorry.
for how much you can sell a game or a console as a reseller. Excuse me. So that you're not scamming anyone. But yeah. Anyway, next up, Russia starts banning Death Note and other anime. This is by Brian Ashcraft for Kotaku. This Wednesday, a St. Petersburg court has banned the Death Note, Tokyo Ghoul, and Inuyashiki anime after concerns that teenagers would mimic on-screen violence. During the trial, the prosecution screened episodes to underscore its argument. According to the Moscow Times, the district court stated every episode contains cruelty, murder, violence. Okay, I was going to make a joke, but I don't want Putin to come after me. In mid-December,
he doesn't listen to our podcast. It's fine.
If only he
You
did.
think he really knows where your country is?
Oh, he has like an office here. Like Russia has an office here. So I don't want to I don't want to poke the bear. In mid-December, 5 lawsuits were filed against 49 Russian sites distributing anime. State prosecutors are also called to the court to ban other shows including Elfen Lied and Naruto in yet-to-be-decided suits. Okay. According to the website Medusa,
What?
Oleg Erlich, an expert from St. Petersburg Academy of Postgraduate Pedagogical Education, said Death Note was potentially dangerous for modern child. Oh, wait, I think I read that with a stereotypical accent. Said Death Note was potentially dangerous for a modern child. Click on the article for full details, but this is just so bunk. Like,
it reminds me of the New York Times article from earlier this week where video games banned.
It's so much more than that. It's about moral panic.
Anime
And
anime bad, violence bad. I was like, okay, but what about all the movies that have it and the TV shows that are live action? Why is anime bad specifically?
It's more that anime has a tendency to go all out in certain aspects, like with violence.
Okay, but just because some teenagers are watching Tokyo Ghoul doesn't mean they're gonna start going around eating people.
I mean,
that means there are other problems that have to be dealt with.
I think Putin is afraid someone might start a Death Note and write his name.
Okay, but it's not gonna work.
I mean, read the stories. They have actual. They have a theme. They have a meaning. It's not just
if
violence.
If you write somebody's name in a book that says Death Note on it, it's not actually gonna.
As far as we know.
Do anything. As far as we know, yeah. Yeah, as far as we know.
Yeah. Okay, that's the bad-ish news.
I just thought it's kind of fascinating. It's just like, oh yeah, they're banning a bunch of anime for violence, and I'm like,
look, Twitter warriors, this is what actual censorship looks like.
Yeah. I don't...
Okay. Anyway, moving on.
It's just such a fascinating story in not that good of ways, but still.
Moving on to the positive side of the news. New Persona 5 Strikers trailer looks at big battles. This is by Jenny Lada for Siliconera. There's a chance to see what exploring Persona 5 Strikers dungeons will be like in the newest trailer. Atlas shared a rather active video focused entirely on the jails, aka dungeons, the Phantom teams will explore in Japan when the game appears worldwide. As mentioned in Siliconera's preview, both extensive battling and exploration are involved. But what people might especially notice in the new Persona 5 Strikers trailer is how it pays attention to the array of playable characters. Things kick off with Joker in the middle of a battle. We see him in a rather active way, then uses Arsene Persona to cycle through specific skills like Cleave, Dream Needle, and Zeo. Then we get to see people like Fox, Panther, Skull, Queen, and even new character Sophia cut through enemies and find their way through areas. You can click on the article for full details. And if you're a subscriber to Fanatical Games' newsletter, you get an extra 6% off of pre-orders for a full 23% off of either the standard edition or deluxe edition.
Is that digital only?
Yes, it's digital only.
Okay.
Fanatical only sells digital keys.
Okay, I've never signed up for it, so or at least not that I remember.
Next.
The one thing that I'm curious about with this is that I remember somewhere somebody saying that Persona 5 Strikers, it wasn't canon to Royal, but it was canon to the original game.
Yes.
And that's why it didn't have Kasumi in it.
Yes.
And I'm like, that's weird. Why would you make Royal not canon?
I think it was put into production before Royal became a thing. So
I wonder if they'll add Kasumi in later as like a DLC character.
It could be. Like, the Muso games are known for their DLC characters. So it might happen eventually, but it might also not.
Pirate Warriors 4.
Yeah, but it might also not because they don't want to confuse the timeline and canon of the story. That's
true, yeah.
Yeah. Next up is Pokemon Unite beta footage with cosmetics leaked. This is by Oni Dino for Siliconera. YouTuber user Dangfam uploaded a new video from the Pokemon Unite beta. The footage likely comes from the closed beta held in China. The video shows off gameplay, a full match, menus, and a Pokemon customization with cosmetics. The leaked video is about 14 minutes of footage. Given that all the menus are in simplified Chinese, the gameplay is likely from the closed Pokemon Unite beta held in January 2021. Fans can get a look at the UI during matches and the snappy menus outside of battle, complete with nostalgic sound effects. Among the customizable outfits in the video, we got a glimpse of a Luau Machamp ready for when the sun's out with the guns out. That is such a dad joke. Wow. Props to you, Siliconera. We also saw a Charizard in a scarf and a beanie hat. Unfortunately, it isn't clear whether Charizard is ready for a brisk walk in autumn or an ironic VHS viewing party. Onidino with the dad jokes, ladies and gentlemen. You can click on an article for full details. Are you looking forward to Pokemon Unite?
What?
Are you
Sorry,
looking forward to
cut out for
Pokemon
a
Unite?
second. I don't know yet. This is gonna be a PC game or a Switch?
PC and mobile. And Switch, I
might
think.
try it at least.
Mm.
I might try it. You don't get to put clothes on your Pokemon in any recent Pokemon game.
Yeah.
So that might be interesting.
Next up,
We'll see who the playable Pokemon are first.
Sure. Next up, we have Bayonetta 3 information hopefully on the way, says its director. This is by Benjamin Maltbie for Siliconera. Hideki Kamiya, a designer, supervisor, writer, and director at Platinum Games, recently commented on the state of the studio's upcoming title, Bayonetta 3. Speaking to Hamster CEO Satoshi Hamada during a new archive stream, Kamiya stated that the studio hopes to give an update on the title at some point this year. Shout out to Nintendo Everything. Kamiya also clarified that there wasn't a lot that he was permitted to talk about on the subject. Along the line, he stated that he was working on some other unannounced projects too, before acknowledging that he wasn't certain if he was allowed to mention the existence of the ongoing but unannounced projects in the first place. Click on the article for full details. I don't know if you've seen it. I think you posted it in the Discord that Platinum Games had an updated roadmap on their website, teasing something yet to be announced.
Yeah, for this year.
I don't think that's Bayonetta 3. If Bayonetta 3 news would be coming, it would be coming directly from Nintendo because they are the publisher.
Well, what do you think?
I could also be
then?
wrong. It could be something else. I don't know what. Maybe a Metal Gear Revengeance remake, remaster, or a spiritual successor. Like you keep willing those things into existence.
Let's go.
Next up is Dead or Alive and Modern Ninja Gaiden creator Tomonobu Itagaki establishes Itagaki Games. This is by Sal Romano for Gematsu. Tomonobu Itagaki, creator of the Dead or Alive and Modern Ninja Gaiden series, has established a new game studio called Ninja Gaiden.
It's not Ninja Gaiden?
Whichever you choose.
I thought it was Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah, I know you don't. Anyway, Ninja Gaiden series has established a new game studio called Itagaki Games, the developer announced. The news comes via Itagaki's official Facebook page, where he posted an interview he did with Bloomberg for its Xbox 20th anniversary story published on January 6. According to Itagaki, this part of the interview was omitted from the Bloomberg story due to character limits, but he was given permission by the outlet to post it himself. Towards the end of the interview, Itagaki is asked what he has been up to recently, to which he responds, quote, "For the past 4 years, I've been teaching to foster juniors, but now I feel like I want to make a game again and just establish a company for that purpose." Later, the story is updated with saying Bloomberg writer Takashi Mochizuki followed up with Itagaki to confirm the platforms for his next game. According to Itagaki, the current plan is to release on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, and PC via Steam. Okay, you can click on article for full breakdown and a full interview with Itagaki. Do you have any fondness for Itagaki's games?
I'm not gonna lie, I've never played a Dead or Alive or a Ninja Gaiden game. So,
wow.
I'm excited to see what comes out of his new studio.
after Devil Third.
Now he's
not
done
so
Devil's
much.
Third. Oh, well, in that case, no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I've only seen some bits and pieces of that game.
Yeah, I've never played it, but from all accounts, it is no bueno.
I don't know. Some people seem to love it.
Those people are possessed, probably.
I wouldn't say that. Okay. Next story is new Nioh 2 armor sets will be available to download for a limited time. I meant to pick up Nioh 2 again, like start playing it again, but I just didn't. Because I got distracted by Super Mario Sunshine. But
That is such a sentence that I never expected to ever come out of your mouth, but here we are.
This is by Kazuma Hashimoto for Siliconera. To commemorate the release of Nioh 2, the Complete Edition, Koei Tecmo will distribute 2 new sets of armor to players. This includes those who have already purchased the standard version of Nioh 2. These 2 unique sets will be available to download for a limited time starting February 4th to February 26, 2021. These 2 sets come with a distinct visual style. Specifically, the Stray Sohaya armor set comes with a pair of distinct cat ears and is calico colored. Some will notice that this armor bears some resemblance to a very specific and very round yokai found in Nioh 2, which is the Scampus, which is a big round cat. The second set is the golden ornamental armor, which features a very large and very golden kabuto. You can take a look at the Stray Sohaya and Gorda. Only be available for a limited time. The Complete Edition will launch for PC and PlayStation 5 on February 5th, 2021. Yeah, so new armor. And in other Nioh news...
Yeah. Let's see. Nioh director says no current plans for Nioh 3, but hopes to return to series in the future. Ninja Gaiden. You heard that? Gaiden. News coming soon. This is by
Gaiden
Sal
1,
Romano for
Ninja
Gamatsu.
Gaiden 2, Ninja Gaiden 3. Cruising USA.
There are currently no plans to make a Nioh 3, but Nioh series director Fumihiko Yasuda would like to return to the series at some point in the future, he told The Gamer, which is probably the best name for a video game site ever, in a newly published interview. On the possibility of a Nioh 3, he said, in terms of a sequel right now, Nioh series developer Team Ninja would like to focus on working on new titles, so there really isn't a plan for Nioh 3 at this point, Yasuda said. But after creating some new projects and gaining some new experience and skills from those new potential projects, I would like to go back to the series at some point, utilize all the experience and new skills what we gain from some new projects, and potentially go back into the series at that point and create an even greater game to surpass Nioh and Nioh 2 and to create something even better. Okay, with respects to Ninja Gaiden, he says that there isn't particularly anything new to announce, like in terms of a new entry in the series, but recent leaks have pointed out that there might be a remastered collection coming of the Team Ninja directed games, like the Itagaki Ninja Gaiden 1, 2, and Razor's Edge that came later after Itagaki's departure. Curiously enough, those games will be on PC, PS4 and 5, if I'm not mistaken, but not Xbox. Which is surprising because Ninja Gaiden has such a strong connection to Xbox's history. So, yeah, that's that. If you want to know more, click on the article. Next up is fan-made Mega Man game cancelled in rare display from publisher Capcom. Fan-made Mega Man game cancelled. This is by Benjamin Maltbie for Siliconera. A developer who had until recently been working on a fan-made Mega Man project called Rockman EXE Phantom of Network Remake has stated via tweet that the company that owns the rights to Mega Man, Capcom, has asked him to cease production on the project. The developer went on to say that they would stop working on the project, suspend the use of their Twitter account, and delete any images or videos they had released of the in-progress work. Unlike many other publishers, this sort of action isn't typical of Capcom. The publisher even sanctioned and helped finish a fan-made project called Street Fighter X Mega Man, where players took control of characters from another Capcom property, Street Fighter. Click on article for full details, but I think it's just moving forward. We're going to see publishers be more protective of their IPs, not just Nintendo, but Capcom too, because if a publisher does not protect its IP, it sets a precedent for others to do what they will with said IP. So to prevent that, they crack down on fan games and fan projects. It's a bummer for you as a fan, but it is what it is. Next up is Monster Hunter Rise demo stuttering issue will not occur in full release. Doubt, but okay. This is by Kazuma Hashimoto for Siliconera. Capcom has released a statement concerning the issues regarding stuttering in the Monster Hunter Rise demo. The developer has confirmed that the stuttering that has occurred for users with high friend counts on their Nintendo Switch friends list is a legitimate issue. However, it also has been confirmed that this will not be present in the full release of the game. Statement reads, for customers using the demo version of Monster Hunter Rise, if the number of registered friends on the user's account exceeds a certain number, the game will begin to stutter. This is a processing failure. Please be assured that we have confirmed that this issue does not occur on the full version. We apologize for any inconvenience and thank you for your support. I'm gonna doubt this because Nintendo has crappy online infrastructure, so it does not bode well. And if Cyberpunk has taught us anything, is be very wary of whatever a publisher says.
Yeah, but I hopefully
not that
hopefully it's fixed by the in the full game.
Yeah, in fairness, Capcom isn't CD Projekt, so they don't deserve the same level of scrutiny. But be wary. Like, wait for reviews.
I'm getting Rise Day 1. You can't stop me.
Well, you're a content creator. You're very different.
How dare you call me that? That's a bad word.
Okay, you're an artist. You're a podcast artist.
All right, now you're just now you're just getting weird with it. Anyway, I'm still excited for Rise. I don't have a lot of Switch friends, just because like I don't play multiplayer on Switch that much. Maybe Rise will change that. I don't know.
I still haven't played a demo.
It's good. I've had no issues playing with friends.
I believe you.
That's the funny part.
Okay, I believe you. I believe you.
Like I said in last week's podcast, we actually had trouble with my friend who's a Monster Hunter vet. We had a lot of trouble fighting the Mitsuzune, and we actually lost. So we were like, whoa. It makes us more excited, though.
Loads of fun promise for the full game.
Next Monster Hunter Rise story. Monster Hunter Rise 7-Eleven campaign prize pool includes special edition gold 7-Eleven limited set amiibo. This is from Nintendo Wire. Ahead of Monster Hunter Rise's release, Capcom is releasing more details about various pre-order bonuses and store campaigns celebrating the series. Recently, Capcom Japan shared its digital download card bonuses at convenience stores 7-Eleven and Lawson. Yet, there's something extra special happening at 7-Eleven stores across Japan, and it includes continuing the time-honored tradition of making an amiibo or amiibo set available in a gold variant. Beginning on Monday, January 25th, and ending on Sunday, April 11th, participating 7-Eleven locations will be hosting a Monster Hunter Rise download card purchase campaign. Purchasing the game's download card will come with 11 each of 7 in-game items and earn you an entry into a lottery. Keeping the number theme going, 711 prizes will be distributed, including the special edition gold 7-Eleven limited set of the Monster Hunter Rise amiibo. As noted in the press release, the image of the mock-up and doesn't show the final version of the special set. There's the gold-plated amiibo. This is not the first time they've done it. I found out they did the same thing for the Monster Hunter Stories amiibo, which, oh my god, I want. Even the regular Monster Hunter Stories amiibo are kind of expensive, so I couldn't imagine how much the gold ones would be sold for. Gold and silver ones.
Yeah.
So this was just a cool little story that I didn't know that was like a thing that happens with special gold 7-Eleven amiibo. If only the 7-Elevens in the U.S. did cool stuff like that. Hey, we had a Detective Pikachu limited edition mocha flavor. No, mocha
amiibo?
flavor.
Oh,
that was pretty good.
That's something. I guess. Okay. Next up, Cells at Work game announced. This is by Kazuma Hashimoto for Siliconera. Aniplex has announced that the Cells at Work game is currently in development. NetEase will lead development on the upcoming title, and more information will be released at a later date. This includes what platform the title will be released on, along with a scheduled release date. An official website has been released alongside the announcement for the upcoming Cells at Work game. The page itself is fairly sparse, featuring key art and the announcement of the title. However, as mentioned previously, more information will be released at a later date. This is kind of odd, because when I see NetEase, I automatically think of a mobile game or like an online game for PC. That they haven't mentioned the platform makes me think that it'll be a console game as well.
What kind of game?
But that's just me.
Do you?
Cells at Work is kind of like a
anime
Osmosis Jones,
yeah,
but anime. Yeah, basically. So I'm guessing action adventure.
Yeah, that would make sense. I still need to watch it. I know it's on Netflix here, or at least some of it is on Netflix here.
Is it? Yeah, it's also on my Netflix. The spin-off series Cells at Work Black.
Oh, that's true.
Just premiered, so maybe that is more up your alley.
I could try both. I like trying new things, new anime. I watched Cardcaptor Sakura for the first time in years the other day with a friend of mine. Although I was kind of disappointed because it wasn't the dub that I watched. That's on Netflix. It's the Asian English dub by Bang Zoom. So there are some familiar voice actors, but it doesn't have Matt Hill from Ed, Ed, and Eddie as the voice of Kerberos. So it didn't work.
And that's
where I draw the line.
No,
it was fine. except for they all said they pronounced Japanese names okay for the first part. Nobody's name was changed, but they all said Sakura, and I'm like, I don't. Me and my friend were like, no, stop.
Well,
yeah.
What are you gonna do?
And the nice thing is, it doesn't have, unlike the dub that I watched as a kid, it doesn't have a ton of like cut content. It actually is the full thing.
Okay.
I don't know if I'll continue watching it, but it was neat. Anywho, next story. Balan Wonderworld demo launches January 28th. This is by Saruman for Gamatsu. Play 4 acts of various chapters and raise Tims. Tims?
I'm guessing small, cuddly creatures.
Publisher Square Enix and developer Arzest will release a demo for Balan Wonderworld for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC via Steam on January 28th worldwide, the companies announced. The demo will feature Acts 1 and 2 of Chapter 1, Act 1 of Chapter 4, and Act 1 of Chapter 6, as well as access to the Isle of Tim, the hub area where you can raise mysterious creatures called Tims. The demo also supports 2-person local multiplayer. Why is kind of funny not covering this?
I mean,
yeah, that's
it's
true.
a niche.
That's true.
It's a niche Japanese game, so.
There's an overview of the demo. Yeah, the fact that it has 4 worlds. Or no, it doesn't have 4. It has World 1, playable areas, Act 1, Act 2, and boss battle. World 4, just Act 1. World 6, just Act 1. And the Isle of Tims. I wonder if this is kind of like a Chow Garden type thing. Here, there's a summary. Players will also be granted access to the Isle of Tims, a base area and gateway to the 3 mysterious worlds. Here, players will meet the magical creatures called Tims, whose powerful abilities can help Leo and Emma as they explore each world and battle Nagati, that must be the villain. On the Isle of Tims, players can also harvest magical droplets from the colorful flower patches found around the island. These droplets can be found at Tims in order to evolve their abilities. Chow Garden.
It's probably given so much content because it's a risky venture, and Yuji Naka said that if this game fails, this is more or less his retirement from the industry.
This is the dude who created the Night series, right? Or am I wrong about that?
Sonic and Night,
And a lot of people compare the character design to Night.
It has a lot of visual references to his older work. And yeah, it's probably Square Enix saying... Wait,
Square Enix.
Square Enix? Yeah, it's Square Enix saying, hey, this is like an untested property. Have a big slice of the pie. Tell us what you like, what you don't like.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty excited to try it out. I really like the Balin, I think is the character with the hat. I like his design a lot.
Yeah.
I'm the next story too. Next story is Yakuza Remastered collection. It's Outer Wilds, Yakuza Remastered, Cyber Shadow, and more in late January. This is by Saruman for Gamatsu once again. Microsoft has announced new titles coming to the Xbox Game Pass for console and PC in late January, including Outer Wilds, Yakuza Remastered Collection, and Cyber Shadow. Well, the main thing for this was Yakuza Remastered Collection, which includes Yakuza 3, 4, and 5, all the remastered versions, all coming to Android, console, and PC on January 28th. So, now, even more Yakuza, we have almost all of them at this point on Game Pass. Just need 6 and 7.
Yeah, it's... I mean, I don't know if you'll have enough time to complete them for the duration they'll be on Game Pass. Like, if you really are struggling to choose, go with 0. That's your best entry, because it's 0.
You can play 7 without playing the other. 7's not on Game Pass yet, but you can play 7 without playing the other ones.
Yeah, if it comes to Game Pass, you can also... it's designed to be a fresh start.
But yeah, I'm excited for that.
Okay, next up is Nintendo opens a new Twitter account for...
I said I'm excited for that.
You have?
Oh, I have Yakuza 0 and the Kiwami games on PC Game Pass. That's all.
Well, there you go. Next up is Nintendo opens a new Twitter account for corporate news. This is by Charlie Wakels. Am I pronouncing that right? I hope so. You follow me on Twitter. Yell at me if I get this wrong for DualShockers. Nintendo has opened a new public Twitter account at Nintendo Co. Limited to share corporate news and internal business updates. Japanese gaming giant Nintendo has opened a new... Okay, that's just... The strapline is the same as the opening paragraph. Don't do this. I mean, I do the same thing in my work, but... In my day job, but... Don't do this in my off time. While it remains unclear how in-depth the account will go, its content will likely be drawn from the same information and presentations that Nintendo offers on its corporate website. Contents of that page include in-depth explanations of Nintendo's recent corporate activity, including the company's recent purchase of Luigi's Mansion 3 developer Next Level Games. Okay, click on the article for a full breakdown of the details. I have kind of no ideas of what this is supposed to mean. Are they gonna separate the Nintendo announcements from the main channel? The main channel is just gonna be a PR arm for Nintendo, and this is gonna be the more businessy side of Nintendo. What could it all mean, Basil? Next up is F-Zero and Star Fox world and character designer Takaya Imamura leaves Nintendo. This is by Sal Romano for Gamatsu. Takaya Imamura has left Nintendo after 32 years of employment, the game developer announced in a Facebook post. He starts off with a quote, "Today is my last day coming to work," Imamura said. "I took a selfie with the empty office building. It feels pretty sad to think about not coming here anymore. Hats off to myself for 32 years of hard work." In response to a comment from Takara Tomi, ARTS Arts Hobby Planning Department General Manager Tomoo Yoda, Imamura added that he will be doing freelance work in the future. Imamura has worked on a number of titles, including Imamura has worked on a number of titles during his time at Nintendo. He was a graphic designer on the original F-Zero and Star Fox games, including the character designs for Captain Falcon and Fox McCloud. Art director on Star Fox 64, chief designer on F-Zero X, art director on The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, including the creation of Tingle, Kululimpa, producer on Star Fox Assault
Tingle.
and Star Fox Command, director on Steel Diver and Tank Troopers, and supervisor for a number of F-Zero and Star Fox games. Kululimpa.
How dare you? You have betrayed me for the last time. This is just it's not like I wonder if what drama went on. No, he's just moving on with his life. Good for him.
Yeah. Yep, definitely.
Next story is All Nippon Airways and JP Games announced virtual travel project. This is once again from Sal Romano for Gamatsu. JP Games CEO Hajime Tabata, who directed Final Fantasy XV and Final Fantasy Type 0 during his time at Square Enix, is working with All Nippon Airways parent company ANA Holdings on a virtual travel project, the developer confirmed. ANA Holdings' virtual travel project will allow users to travel to cities created with computer graphics in a virtual space. As an airline company, ANA Holdings has been struggling due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic and has high hopes for the venture. Tabata will work on these virtual excursions as a general producer and as an official project of JP Games. It should be noted that it is a separate project from the Pegasus Dream Tour, JP Games' official Paralympic Games title due out in 2021. In a comment to Famitsu, Tabata said, "Using the skills and experience I gained developing RPGs, I'd like to transform travel into something beyond reality. I'll do my best to help ANA." So this will be interesting.
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows? I like Tabata, and I like his design philosophy, and I really miss his games, so here's looking forward to his next adventures. Next up is Capcom revises earnings forecast after strong sales from RE3 and Monster Hunter. This is by Sato for Siliconera. Capcom revised its earning forecast for the fiscal year ending March 31st, that's something else, 2021. Strong sales from Resident Evil 3 and Monster Hunter series were significant factors behind the upward revision. You can click on the article for a full breakdown of the details. I do not have an economics degree, so I would not be able to make heads or tails of all this jargon. So, good luck. Someone else mentioned it on Twitter that with RE8 and Monster Hunter Rise and Stories 2, Capcom is looking to have another blockbuster
Capcom's
year.
back. I mean, not that they ever left.
I mean, back again. Yeah. I mean, if you're in the stock market and Capcom happens to be a publicly traded company, might want to buy some.
We'll talk about
options.
it more once it gets a release date, but I'm really hoping for Stories 2 to be successful.
Yeah, I'm guessing with so many delays already, and Nintendo's slate so far being pretty open and clean.
Yeah.
It'll be the focus for a
hopefully the popularity
while.
of World and Rise can only help. Oh, and the popularity of the Switch, of course.
I'm fairly certain. Okay, next up
Main
is
topic
the main
is
topic,
the Resident Evil Showcase.
Yes. Resident Evil Village launches May 7th as PS4 and Xbox One versions. PS5 visual demo now available. Excuse me. This is by Sal Romano for Gamatsu. Resident Evil 8 will launch for PS5, Xbox Series, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC via Steam on May 7th. Worldwide, Capcom announced. The PlayStation 4 and Xbox One versions are newly announced. Users who purchase the PlayStation 4 for Xbox or Xbox One version will be able to upgrade to the PS5 or Xbox Series version free of charge. More details that were revealed during the live stream was a maiden demo for PS5, which clocks in at about 16 to 20 minutes. You have multiple game editions. The standard edition for $59.99, deluxe edition at $69.99, and the collector's edition at $219.99. A complete bundle including both RE Village and RE7 Biohazard for PS4 and Xbox One will also be made available. More news. There is also a multiplayer suite.
Oh, I was gonna talk about that.
Okay. I'll just do everything
Resident
else. There's also a short snippet of the next CG
Infinite
movie.
Darkness.
Such
like an edgy. Ow, the edge.
It's a very Japanese movie.
Also, it sounds like a
name.
Yu-Gi-Oh card.
I'll give it that. Yeah. And I now reveal Infinite Darkness.
I activate Infinite Darkness.
Yeah. So go ahead with the multiplayer.
Yeah,
angle.
so multiplayer game Resident Evil RE-verse or Reverse, I'm not sure. Announced for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. This is from Saruman for Gamatsu. 4 to 6 player deathmatch battles in iconic Resident Evil locations. Capcom has announced multiplayer game Resident Evil Reverse for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. It will be included free of charge with all purchases of Resident Evil Village and is also playable on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series via backward compatibility. Here is an overview of the game via Capcom. In celebration of the Resident Evil franchise's 25th anniversary, which kicks off in March 2021, Capcom announced Resident Evil Village will include access to a free multiplayer experience titled Resident Evil Reverse, coming to the things I just listed. This thank you bonus to fans features striking comic-style visuals that a lot of people don't like, and sets popular Resident Evil characters against each other in 4 to 6 player deathmatch battles in iconic Resident Evil locations. Players can choose from a fan-favorite roster, each with their own unique skill sets to master. When players are defeated in combat, their character respawns by mutating into a bioweapon to enact revenge on their foes. More information on Resident Evil Reverse will be shared at a later time. A lot of people were not happy with how this game looks, and they're like, "Oh, nobody wants this multiplayer Resident Evil, and it looks terrible. It looks like a mobile game." And I'm like, "Look, it might not look that great, but I think it could be pretty fun." I'm more interested in this than I am in actual 8, to be honest. I'm like the only one. Yeah, I'm like the only one.
Yeah, you really are. I was gonna say no one has played it yet, so I don't think anyone's opinion is valid just yet.
Nobody's played 8 yet either, but it seems like people are. Well, okay, tall vampire lady, but.
Well, tall vampire lady aside, we have the knowledge of Resident Evil 7 and the recent remakes, so we do know what we can expect in terms of quality, but with the multiplayer it's kind of hit or miss, and when it comes to Resident Evil multiplayer it's more miss than hit, so I'm guessing that's why people are kind of skeptical. And there was also a multiplayer suite attached to RE3 Remake, and I don't think anyone has mentioned it since last
I don't
year,
even remember hearing about it.
So yeah, that's also something else. It's too early to say whether this mode will be fun or not.
Yeah, I'd say give it a chance. It's free if you buy Resident Evil 8. Unfortunately, that's the only way you can access it at this or at that time. Maybe it'll be a separate thing down the road. Who knows? I don't.
Yeah, if it's popular enough, I think they're gonna make it its own free-to-play thingamajig.
Don't knock it till you try.
And we also have a late addition to the.
Since we're recording this later than
usual. Sources say that Capcom has overhauled its plans for Resident Evil 4 Remake. This is by Andy Robinson for Video Game Chronicle. Capcom's in-development RE4 Remake has seen a major change of leadership due to disagreements over its direction, according to people with knowledge of the project. So, to sum it all up, M2, which is a new studio headed by a former Platinum Games head, Tatsuya Minami, was set to be in charge of the Resident Evil 4 Remake, but internal disagreements between them and Capcom has shifted production back towards Capcom's internal development studio, Capcom Division 1. The disagreement stemmed from Capcom wanting the game to veer more away from RE4, and the studio M2 wanting it to be closer to a one-to-one remake because of the backlash they received from RE3 Remake.
They received backlash from
RE3
Remake? I thought a bunch of people loved that one.
The backlash was that it's shorter, not scary enough.
You know what's interesting? What's interesting is I know a couple of Resident Evil fans who played Remake 3, and they said yeah, even the original Resident Evil 3 was more actiony than the previous two.
That is true, but the thing is with Resident Evil, most people or the most vocal fans seem to like the horror bend to the series, and not so much the action bend of the series. So anything that veers into Resident Evil 5 and 6 starts have all our spidey senses tingling. So I think RE3 being more actiony than RE2 was a bit of a disappointment, because we want horror in our RE games, and it's
too scary
also
for me.
Fairly short. I think you'd be able to play Resident Evil games.
I've played 5.
To Evil Within or Silent Hill.
So I've played 5.
And
I've played the 2 Wii rail shooter games, which I really wish those would get ports or remakes or something. Not 5. 5 has ports already, but
yeah. I think you'd be more at home with 4, 5,
I tried
and 6
4 at
than
one point,
the
and it never really clicked with me.
You are from like Earth 2 or Earth 3, like
Or maybe you are.
hot takes. Hot takes.
But my question
Hot
is,
takes.
for these kind of things, when series keep
Mhm.
getting remakes, when do they stop? Do they keep going? Like, I don't think they're going to remake
When
Resident Evil 5 or 6. Well, 6 they could remake into something more. Depending on what direction 4 goes in, they could remake 5 and 6 to, like, be more horror-oriented. I could see that happening.
They'll stop the remakes
At
when they
7th.
stop being profitable. That's the hard.
That's just
definitive
my question
answer.
for any series that has remakes like this or Pokemon. Like, we're getting to that point where it's getting it's catching up, but I don't think I could see.
Well, it's also
I don't know how much time has
uh-huh.
passed. Like, I don't think we're gonna see remakes of X and Y anytime soon. It's not gonna be for a while.
The thing is, we as fans are also to blame for this, because we as fans keep buying these games, and we as fans also keep belly aching about not having these games.
I'm not saying
and wanting these
remaking and
games.
updating games is bad or anything. It's great. It's great to.
No,
I'm just wondering,
no.
like, does it keep
Don't-
going?
don't-
Is there like a stopping point somewhere where you have to start, just keep making new stuff instead, and then somewhere down the line, then start the remakes again?
That's what I'm saying. As long as it's profitable, they'll keep doing it. As long as we keep clamoring for remakes of this and
Except
that,
for Persona
they'll keep
3 and
making
Persona
them.
2 remakes.
Is anyone
Yes,
really asking
there
about
are.
those?
I know a bunch of people who are, especially Persona 3. There are dozens of us.
Well,
Just like with the people who
Sega
want
did
ports
say
of the
that-
the Resident Evil Chronicles games. There are dozens of us.
also dozens of you. Sega said that given the success of Persona 4 on Steam, they are seriously considering porting more games,
Yeah.
or more of their
I
older
don't know if
catalog to
Persona 2
newer
will be, but I
platforms.
could see Persona 3 doing that.
Persona 3 is more likely than
Yeah,
not.
mhm.
The thing is, Persona 3 has
3 different
like,
versions? Or 2 different
two-
versions?
well, two
'Cause
two-
FES
two
and
main
portable?
versions. You have Persona 3, yeah, and portable. So the thing is, what I'm speculating is they'll probably do a remake, a full remake, where they integrate
Put everything together.
the second playable. Yeah. So that's my guess, and that's why it's taking so long. But to bring it back to Resident Evil, people want Resident
Yeah.
Evil to be good. People want Resident
Mhm.
Evil to be scary. And I think with 4, 5, and 6 not being the scariest of the series, they'll probably do everything to remake those to be more in line with 1, Remake 2, Remake 3, and 7 and 8. Maybe add more tall vampire lady.
That seems to be well received.
Someone also made a point on Twitter today that RE4 has been ported on basically
I saw
everything that
that.
exists.
I think.
So if you want a one-to-one game,
there, yeah.
it's
Mhm.
there. Go play it. Just allow other developers to be free.
It almost
with their
reminds me of
interpretation
the.
of
It's not a game, but the Mewtwo Strikes Back remake, where it's like, okay, who is this for at this point?
yeah. Yeah, it's a one-to-one remake, and it just adds nothing to the overall
It changes
story.
some minor
It's
things,
Just
but that's about it. Yeah.
it's a waste of time,
well,
in my opinion.
Unless you're a
Um,
really big Dan Green fan. I am, but even that didn't. I wouldn't say.
I still think it's a waste of time.
If you want to watch Dan Green in an awesome performance, watch Yu-Gi-Oh! Dark Side of Dimensions. Not that his performance as Mewtwo was bad. It's just like you have other moves. Or
Yeah.
Mewtwo Returns. That's a really good and I think underappreciated one.
Just to
Yeah,
bring
sorry,
it
went
back
off
to
topic.
Resident Evil, I think after RE8, I think they're gonna shift focus to the RE4 remake, and that will be more or less the mainline entry for that year. So 2022 or 2023 at the earliest.
Mm-hmm. And then some people are wondering whether they'll remake some of the spin-offs, like what's it called? Code Veronica, or Outbreak,
Revelations,
possibly Revelations. I wasn't thinking that, but
is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? Probably no. Because I think they're looking at the most profitable entries in the saga. And I think they want to stick to the mainline.
I gotta say, I played a little bit of Revelations on 3DS when it first came out. Playing a survival horror game on 3DS feels really weird.
Well, they did make the analog
yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
especially for that game, I think. So now that it's on modern consoles and PC, maybe play it on that.
Again, I'm not a huge Resident Evil fan. Besides a few, besides a couple games.
Is it more by reputation that you don't want to?
It's because I'm a scaredy cat. Like, well, it's fine. You played Bloodborne. I'm like, no, it's not the same.
Yeah, I'd still say it's somewhat the same. The thing with the RE series that's different with other horror series is that in Resident Evil you have the ability to fight back.
That's true.
That releases a lot of the tension. And that's a lot of the beauty of Resident Evil, and I'd rather have that than, like, say the Outlast games, because
I know what you mean. Let me tell you.
Oof. Video cameras do not run on disposable batteries. That logic just breaks my brain.
Well, here's the other thing. I would like if more Resident Evil games had co-op, so at least I'll have someone else.
That could actually be a good angle for future RE games.
Like, that's why I love Resident Evil 5 so much. It's not a great Resident Evil game, but it has fun co-op.
Yeah. Well, RE6 also has co-op, so
I've heard
want to try that
mixed
too.
things about that one. I've heard some people come around on 6 more recently, but
it's if you like the RE CG movies, you'll probably like RE6.
Okay, maybe I can convince if it has online co-op, maybe I can convince my friend to play that with me.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're more of a traditionalist and if you want more horror than action, then you probably won't like it. So it's worth a try.
Coming to Game Pass.
But
no,
I think that's... Well, yeah. That was our main topic for the week. Do you have any other questions? Or
no, my one question was that
comments?
remake thing. Because I just think it's interesting that we're getting to this point where it's in some series where it's like, well, when do they stop? Like, think about how there's the Bowser's Inside Story 3DS remake of the DS game. It's like, really? We're doing this?
Well,
that's different. That's Nintendo.
They will remake something if it's profitable or if there is a creative impulse big enough where you say, oh, I have an interesting idea for this.
Okay.
That's when they will be remaking stuff.
Okay, so I think that was all for this week. Sorry that we're uploading a little later, but technical difficulties and all that. Hopefully that won't happen next week because of some stuff I'm fixing up. But just as always, stay safe, wear a mask, wash your hands, social distance, play video games, watch anime. Be kind to each other. That's very important. Be kind to each other.
Yeah, and we'll see you next week.
Matane.
Bye.